There is presently a broader market correlation, and that puts us at the mercy of Fed Chair Powell and his announcement tomorrow. Let's go over the short-term time frame bear case and bull case to prepare for tomorrow's session, a potential edge. Welcome back on this Thursday. This is ARCa, and let's dive into ticker symbol VIRI. Let's kill him, team. What is up, you guys? Thank you so much for stopping by once again. Let's go over the broader markets first. So we're going to take a look at ticker symbol SPY, the SPY ETF, S&P 500. Okay, team, so what we're looking at here is a massive bearish engulfing on the 12-hour chart. So that is indicative of a potential, continuation to the downside. So what that can mean is that VIRI may also face some pressures to the downside too. That's not always the case though regarding these tickers. I have seen a few bearish engulfings that have been essentially ignored. I have seen some bullish engulfings that also have been ignored. For example, here, right? This is a massive bearish engulfing here. We got a little bit of a downside and then an immediate recovery, right? So you can see that it doesn't always work out. Same situation here. Massive bearish engulfing after a slight upside. Then we get that pretty much just ignored it, right? So it's like I said, it's not always the case, right? Because in this case here, you know, we printed a wow, can't speak English today. We printed a bearish engulfing and price action essentially continued to the downside. So, yeah, it's important to kind of keep those things in mind, but also the fact that we're getting Fed Chair Powell speaking tomorrow just essentially puts everything at a gamble. We can't know what he's going to say, and there's absolutely no way into determining even a probability here. Right, a lot of times analysts try to guess what he's going to say, and we fail miserably. Right, so I just want to kind of put that out there. It's sometimes best to remain cash during these situations in order for us to prepare for a better opportunity. The easier trades usually come in after Fed Chair Powell speaks, at least the day after, right? Meaning Monday, potentially Tuesday, since Mondays historically are usually red days. Okay, so let's go ahead and kind of touch on the next chart here because I do have some thoughts, right? So I have relevant supports below us. I want to touch down on this though. Okay, this was the ascending triangle that we used as the breakout catalyst. And it also displayed for us the top side of the target that we ended up getting in a psychological perspective. So this line here was taken from the very top side of the triangle to the bottom end. We applied it to that breakout candle, and that told us that we could potentially see a top side target of about 140 based on this breakout, psychological target. Now, hovering over this candle here and observing the OHLC right up here, the open, high, low, close values, you can see that that top side came to a perfect 140. All right, so we definitely got that psychological target met to the penny, right? So now price action has been consolidating, and I can almost bet that it is because we're facing some macroeconomic pressures, seeing that we have the CPI data coming out soon. Fed Chair Powell speaking tomorrow. The presidential debate and the Tucker Carlson interview with Trump was just yesterday. So a lot of these things can play a factor into the price action, especially with a ticker that does have a sympathy run to the broader markets like VIRI, right? So we can clearly see that we faced, a massive downside here on the 12-hour time frame, and you can also see it in VIRI too, right? So although there was a bit more of an ebb and flow, this is, just overall, just it's completely a smaller asset, right? So that's why you're going to face some small differences on the way down, but overall still a downside. Now, I did speak this morning in the live trading session that if we broke the area of 120, then that would essentially invalidate. But then zooming out, I noticed that we had one more area back here on this candle, and that marks off a bottom side of 115. We're currently sitting at 116, and this was at the after hours close. Traditional market close landed at about 121 with a very nice hammer candle-ish, right? Right after a downtrend, which could, in essence, introduce a potential reversal. But I'm taking into account here the after hours trading session as well, seeing that price action continued downward to that 116 support. So why I'm mentioning this bottom side candle here is because there is an invalidation at this area. So closing a 12-hour candle beneath the zone of 116 or 115, sorry, would essentially introduce a further downside. Now, that may not be a bad thing though. So I want to kind of remind you here of the breakout that we just played out, right? Being this ascending triangle, and we got this huge massive breakout to the upside. But if you've noticed here, we actually never came back down to test that support or that the resistance conversion into a support. So could it be possible that we can come back and do that yet again? Well, yeah, actually, it very much is. So I'm gonna leave this actually back to where I had it, because I forget what time frame I used. It may have been the hourly time frame, or the bi-hourly. So I'm just gonna leave it where it is so that we can observe this. I'm not gonna change my mind on that. But the reason I'm saying that is because we can use this as a potential projection. So we can just extend this to the right like this, right? If you are using TradingView, there are other ways to do it too, right? You can just double click this, extend right line, right? You can do that as well. It's fair. Okay, so this would mark off a potential support, and now that would be a support range as well. So we can highlight that area too. Okay, so that would be the 106 bottom and top side of this triangle here, and to the bottom side of our discretionary support being that 102. Okay, so yeah, there is a potential here that we can see that bottom side. However, do note that we have that 112 as a potential area of support as well. Okay, so seeing that we get some bad news, then the bear case would state that we can, test these bottom side targets, which would be in essence fine still, because like I said, breakout never got that retest, so we could consider this a test of the newly converted resistance into support and then continue onwards and upwards. However, I would say that it would be an incredible time for the company to consider releasing some type of catalyst, and to be honest, it would be probably okay after the Fed, or maybe even after CPI, which could be a kind of a distance away. We can find out together right now to see what that is in the economic calendar here in TradingView. If you are interested in acquiring TradingView, please go ahead and visit my links in the description below, as you will see the affiliate link there, and that could it could help my future trading. Okay, so let's see. So the United States, we have the core PCE data here. Let's see. So job openings is coming up on August 29th. And let's see. And of course, tomorrow, Fed Chair Powell, right? So non-farm payrolls is coming up on September 1st. That's gonna an unemployment rate. Yeah, that's gonna move the markets some. And let's see. Let's keep on going here. And this is the upcoming. Yeah, this is the upcoming data. And I'm not seeing CPI just yet, but I know that we're gonna be looking for that soon. Where is it? Okay, here we go. Core inflation rate month over month, and core inflation rate year over year. So that's coming up on September 13th, and it's not too far away. We're already at the tail end of August. And following on September 14th, there's going to be the PPI month over month. So yeah, there's definitely some. Oh, and the Michigan Consumer Sentiment is also going to be released on September 15th. So there's going to be a lot of data coming in the second and the third week of September. And know for a fact that September is historically a red month. So definitely consider remaining cash during those times, as there will be more opportunities to the downside than not. Guys, I have my little guy over here next to me. If he says hello, hey, just know that he's the little co-host right now, and he just wants to make sure that we're doing okay. And he is supervisor right now. How you doing, buddy? Hi. All right, so let's go ahead and continue on the analysis here and see what we have, right? So now following up on the next chart, this is the volatility versus momentum backtest that we performed on a 5-day chart. I would have to say that this may actually be invalidated at this point, since we do have this downside on stochastic momentum. So it's fine. You know, this is actually going to present the a second opportunity here for us to potentially get long after this. As you can see that the component, the volatility component itself within the volatility, which is a spectrum line within the BBWP indicator, my apologies, is starting to show a little bit of a correction, right? So this could start expanding, meaning that we're going to start trading larger volume. So if this continues to expand and reaches the critical zone yet again, this would essentially continue on to the downside and then eventually correct towards the upside, which would reintroduce this statistical backtest that would lead to, let's see, yeah, our upside thrust here, which is the mean, would lead to close to a 65% move. And then the standard deviation would be a 60, spot 24%, with a pretty massive upper bound of the first standard deviation at 125%. If you're not familiar with the bell curve, I am speaking of this here. So your standard deviation would land within the 68% of the results, right? And that would be the 60 spot 24, which is calculated from the mean itself. And the lower bound of the first standard deviation is landing at a very small 4.52%, and the upper bound is that massive 125%. So this is the distribution that I'm currently seeing, and the average and upper bound and lower bound performers. Okay, so as soon as we get that cleared, I'm gonna, you know, very likely touch on this again. These volatility versus momentum backtest profiles are actually very strong and do show a high probability edge for the trade up or down. Okay, so now coming back into this chart here from the live session today, we were speaking of the potential drop into that 116 zone, and we gave it a range of about 115 to 116 being that bottom side of the candle here. Just to remind everybody, there's if we do continue on to the downside, the reason why I'm coming back into this is because if we continue to the downside, which is getting already kind of oversold here on the 6 hour, we could see the bottom side of the geometric target at the 2.618 at 113. So let's just go ahead and make sure that we can have that you know, jotted down here, so that in the event that we do create a downside or downside momentum, then we can, you know, look at another potential bottom side target here. Okay, so now let's I'm not sure that we can get there. Okay, I'm not sure that we can get there, and I'll tell you why. Is that James making noise over there? I don't know. Okay, so please notice here that we have the bottom side of this wick. We have a huge green candle here, and then we have another wick over here. That creates one enormous imbalance, right? So that would be your fair value gap per SM, so the Smart Money Concepts, ICT, and that would be, that usually serves as a pretty strong area of support. But like I said, you know, we're at the mercy of Fed Chair Powell's words, so anything can happen here, and anything could be anything can happen, right? So, but in the bull case is that we do support anywhere between the area of 113 to 115, and then we get this bounce to the upside. And but of course, the bear case scenario would be indicative of a potential touch to the span of 105 to 102. Okay, team. So I'm looking at best case and worst case scenarios here in case we do get some negative reads from the man himself, right? So let's make sure that we do keep on top of that. Immediate short-term time frame, 30-minute RSI suggesting a little bit of consolidation, which, to be honest with you, a lot of tickers may already are showing this. FNGR being one of them too. Now, the bi-hourly time frame is showing some downside here, and you can actually see that the 4-hour is also showing downside in the gravitational zone of the bear weakness percentile, which would essentially bring us down even further, but we already knew that, right? So 12-hour time frame is already failing the SMA 14 represented by this pink line, and this is suggesting a continuation to the downside. So if we were to find a support from this, then, the buy daily is not actually doing it. Let's see the daily time frame. So the daily time frame appears to already have bounced from the SMA 14. So this may show us a temporary downside. And seeing that the bi-weekly is already facing that support from the SMA 14 and showing upside, this is kind of yet again showing us that there is a high probability here that this downside could be short-lived before a continuation to the upside. And the upside, I honestly feel like with the bull case scenario, we could come right back up to that area of about 141 or 140 and face that resistance. Then we can start validating potentially that 4-hour SMA 50 anywhere between the targets of about 123 and 131. We will evaluate this as we go. Please consider visiting the live streams that going live at about 6:30 to 6:40 a.m. daily. And we're constantly covering VIRI, GTII, COSM, FNGR, ASRE. We're covering a lot of tickers. We've been looking at TTOO, AMC and APE, of course, PIRS, and RCRT, EBET, things like that, right? And of course, we are also making sure that we can keep on top of the broader markets as well and their inverse plays, right? So, I mean, it's just it's a must here, right? So, yeah, just please remember, team. Please remember to not to take anything of which I show or describe here as financial advice, as I cannot suggest for you to buy, sell, or hold any tickers whatsoever, or else I'd get really, really mad. All right. So with that said, I wish you well, a very, very good night, and I will catch you at the bell mañana. Adios.